Yo, welcome back to the First Team All Purpose Podcast. I am your host, Sean Alcide. I'm here with my guy JD. How you feeling today, beloved?
Feeling great, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I've had a long week at work, but it's been a really good week overall.
Oh man,
Starting
it's,
back,
it's only Tuesday. The week's been crazy already.
it's only. I mean, bro, when you're dealing with teenagers, it's not even like it's hard anymore. It's just the days are long. Like I just want
Super
to be.
long.
I want the days to be shorter and make more money or the same for working less time. That's all. But
What
we
time
had
do you
an
usually
event.
start?
I start at 8:15. I got to be at work, and I leave at 4:30.
Wow,
So I
crazy.
spend and I work an hour away. So the commute there, that means I got to be out earlier on the road, and the commute back, I'm getting home, 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on traffic. But you gotta do what you gotta do until you don't
You
gotta do
gotta
what you gotta
grind.
do, right?
Facts.
We had a good weekend though. You and I, we hit up the I Am Athlete live show in New
Oof.
York City. City Winery, Brandon Marshall, Pac-Man Jones, LaShawn McCoy, and Omar Kelly. Yo, that was a vibe, man. Tell me your overall, takeaway from leaving that night. How did you feel that night went?
I mean, we left on the completest high of highs, right?
Like you said, Kobe and MJ in the baggy suits.
Yeah, Mike was crazy for that jacket, bro. Somebody got to tell this man about his jackets. But
Wicked.
yeah, I mean, what I took from it is just that we're in the same realm of sports media and content, right? So to watch these guys to have a podcast that didn't even it hasn't even been around for a full year yet or close to a year,
Hmm.
and to see that they're already doing live shows and seeing it up front, you got a chance to get to see everyone's personalities, how they vibe, and how the actual art of making content work. Because people just think is you just show up, you just do it. No, there's so many moving pieces behind backstage, front stage camera setup that goes into creating content and good content. So, I left there motivated, like, damn, if they can do it, we definitely can do it.
Yo, and that's the biggest thing. While you were on your Dame Dash vibe, you weren't taking no for an answer. Um,
Just get
that's
me in the room.
get in the room. That's how I felt too, man. We went there for a reason, right? We went to cover the event, but most importantly, we wanted to shake hands. We wanted to get conversations. And we kind of did that right off the bat. Like as soon as we walked in, event
five
started at eight
minutes.
o'clock. 5 minutes we walked in. Shout outs to this young lady Bonnie, who is the chief of staffing at I Am Athlete.
Facts.
Approached us. She was so kind, just checked in on us, making sure we were all set. And then from there, conversations just kind of enrolled. And again, we happen to know some of the same people. So again, it just drove further conversations. But she was just really helpful that entire night. Even at the end there, getting us connected and all this other stuff. So shout outs
Yeah.
to Bonnie for taking care
L-
of designated report. We appreciate that.
Only thing I want to say to young content creators, all right, just don't be happy being in the room. Just don't be happy to get a picture. If this
Hmm.
is something that you want to do, even if it's not, if you're in the room with these people, take advantage of it. Like you kept on joking, like I was on my Dame Dash. I said, what's the worst if you can just ask, right? What's the worst
Hmm.
that can happen? So you're in the room, you're in the door, go there for a sole purpose. Yes, we were entertained, but for me, it was also business. And I'm happy with a lot of the stuff that we walked away with. So,
Yeah. Again, the Saturday night was the event. I get back home. Sunday morning, I wake up and I write the article recapping everything. And I can't tell you, even people at work, the amount of people that's like, yo, that was a phenomenal article. Just giving them insight. Cause again, this was their first time doing anything live. They've been
yep.
in studio, they've been, at different spots, Miami, LA. This was the first time they've done something in front of a live audience. And something that I appreciate about Brandon Marshall even is how at the end of the show he's like seeking feedback. He's like asking
Off rip.
off rip. He's like,
Off
"Yo, this
rip.
was our first time. Let us know how to get better, and like tell us what we didn't do well, and tell us where we could make it better for the next time, right? Which is next month in Washington D.C., so that we could be more prepared and be better equipped to give those people the best possible. So
To me, that
shout outs
shows
to
that
Marshall
there's
for that.
no ego. There's no ego there.
Right? It's all
You
about
know,
growth.
it's
All
all
about
about
growth.
growth.
Shout outs to I Am Athlete. Super dope. Let's get into the NFL week one. We're gonna go over some NFL surprises from week one and then some NFL disappointments.
Woo.
One. I got some pretty juicy ones, man. A lot of these joints had me like, wait, what did I just watch? Not that
So how we're gonna do this? You're gonna do the surprises. I'm gonna do the disappointments, right?
Yeah, I'll start off with a surprise and you tell me disappointment. And you know what's crazy? Some of my surprises just might be one of your disappointments. That's what I was thinking as I was picking.
I could see that. I swear to God, I thought that too.
So I tried to strategically stay away from like the whoa surprises because I know that might be a disappointment for you. But I think some of them might still coincide. All right, we're gonna start with the biggest surprise of the biggest surprise of the week for me was the New York Football Giants.
Ooh, I knew it.
Going into Tennessee. Daniel Jones behind center and beating the Tennessee Titans, and then Derrick Henry having a decent game, but not a Derrick Henry type game in a season opener against a defense that we thought he'd run all over. I think mostly what surprises me is that Daniel Jones turned the ball over twice, and the Giants were still able to win. This guy's a turnover machine, and we don't think he's good.
Dabble was getting in his rear end too, bro.
Absolutely, and for Saquon to just have a crazy bounce back game one. Again, it's only been 1 week, but this is surprise for week number one. And what's crazy is that the Giants may be 2-0 at this time next week because they got Baker. They got Baker Mayfield next game. They should win that game.
They should win that game.
But
look, going back to our last podcast, what did we say about the Tennessee Titans? The only reason we picked them for that division is because they're the last of the standing semi-decent teams, you know? But I'm right there with you. I did not expect the Giants to win that game.
On the road, too? Absolutely not. The Giants, this is like the first time.
It started off rough for them, too.
They were down 13-0, and then Saquon broke that long run, and he got in the end zone. And then they missed the extra point. And then, the Giants go and they get a 2-point conversion. And then they score a touchdown late. And Saquon, literally bullies his way into the end zone to give him the 21-20 lead. But that was my biggest surprise from week one. What would you say was your biggest disappointment from week one? Or one of them?
Or one of them. All right. I'm going to give you the Skip Bayless sign. Yo, my biggest disappointment, one of them was Derek Carr's performance. Okay, so I came on this podcast last week and I picked the Raiders to win the division. And what did I say? It's all contingent on what Derek Carr does. Right. Point blank, period. Right? So he reminds me of, when you and I back in the day, when we first got our driver's license and you got your first car and you wanted to go out and drive everywhere to the corner store, to the mall, to your friend's house. Yeah. So now Derek Carr has a new shiny toy in Devontae Adams. My man had tunnel vision all game on Devontae Adams, right? Yeah. Devontae got 17 targets. Everybody else on the team
literally 17 targets.
17 targets. Everybody else on the team combined had 18.
Unacceptable.
So what that shows me, first of all, you had 3 interceptions. So that shows me that you're forcing the ball in there, which is mind-boggling because you have playmakers all over the field.
Thanks.
First of all, I have Hunter Renfrow, and he's on my fantasy team, so you got to help me out.
Yeah, right? And he's a beast, too.
He's a beast,
right.
Especially on third down. Then you have one of the best tight ends in the game. Josh Jacobs can carry yards, and he can get yards out of the backfield. So settle down. But this is the point that people have to understand. Back in the day, preseason, the starters always miss game 1 and 2. For whatever reason now, they're not even playing anymore.
Yeah, they don't even play preseason. Yeah.
Right. So now when you're missing games 3 and 4 that the starters typically play, you don't have any chemistry. And if you look at the landscape of the NFL this past weekend, especially on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of teams lack chemistry. So they need to switch that up, man. They need game 3 and game 4, the preseason is to fine tune. You can't fine tune week 1. And the Raiders were a classic example of that.
So your Raiders let you down. I know you picked them to win the West.
The score was 24-19. If you watched the game, it wasn't a close game.
Yeah, and I was gonna say because they had to come back, and they actually had a shot late, and then it was a turnover or something like that.
It wasn't a close game. The score was close. It was not a close game.
They got beat up. Okay. Devontae Adams posted something on Instagram saying, "No excuses, just get better." Shout outs to Tay, because he's a professional. He knows this. All right. My second week one biggest surprise was the way that your Minnesota Vikings dominated the Packers. Now, we talked about this last week on the show that Aaron Rodgers was going to figure out a way to just get enough, from Robert Tonyan, whoever else is there that I can't actually really name outside of Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard, who didn't play week 1, by the way.
Randall Cobb is still there?
He's still there, bro. So,
wow.
Again, I wasn't surprised that the Vikings won. I was surprised how bad they beat up. Like, you're talking about a score that wasn't even close, and it wasn't close. But that game felt like 40-0. Like,
and they took the pressure off in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, they stopped really, letting it on. And Kirk Cousins, for again, not saying he outplayed Rodgers, even though the stat sheet would say that. It's completely different context. But for them, the defense, right? Who our guy Alex has been telling us, there's no more excuses for this defense. Our guy Alex from Twitter, there's no more excuses for this defense. They're ready. Jerry Alexander. For freaking Justin Jefferson to be running that open all game was just mind-boggling to me. That's one of the best defenses in the league. What in the world was going on?
But that was going back to my point last week is this is an offensive league, and when you stack both teams, Vikings have more weapons. That's
evident now. That's evident.
Was the rationale for my choice.
But I don't like Kirk. That's why I didn't agree, because I still don't trust Kirk. That's my only pushback. I think the Vikings are a team that could sneak up on anybody and make a run. If Kirk is who he is paid, the way he's paid to be, if he could play like that, they'll have a shot.
We've seen teams like a Baltimore Ravens and Trent Dilfer win Super Bowls when the QB can just hold the fort down. Same thing with the Eagles. With Nick Foles, just hold the fort down.
What about the all-timer Joe Flacco?
Like, listen, I will never disrespect that man, because that Super Bowl run was epic, man.
It was.
He balled out that Super Bowl, but
it was.
He's a statue, like you said
too, because he bet on himself. That was another bet on. It seems like all Ravens quarterbacks are betting on themselves. That was a contract here for Flacco. He went out, won the Super Bowl, and they give him the bag, and then he crapped the bed. So. Wow. Shout outs to Joe Flacco. So what's your week 2? Oh, did you say your week 2 yet? So mine is the Packers getting smacked by the Vikings. What is yours?
Okay, so my number 2 biggest disappointment of week 1, and I'm gonna go with the 49ers. All right. First of all, you go out and you lose against a team that every announcer was saying, or analyst was saying, they're gonna go 0-17, right? They're gonna go 1-16, they're gonna go 2-15. You can't name me 5 starters on the Chicago Bears. We can't, right? And for you to have all these Super Bowl aspirations, which the 49ers, if you look at their roster on both sides of the ball, they have playmakers. But going back, the biggest question was, can Trey Lance lead this team, right? So now you have to read the writings on the wall. Why did they give Jimmy Garoppolo that $23 million contract for 1 year? It's because they don't feel confident with Trey Lance. But with that being said, they shouldn't have lost against the Chicago Bears, who are pound for pound probably going to be the worst team in the league. All right, so don't give me the excuse that, they lost Mitchell, which is also on my fantasy team, so now I got to go find a running back.
Yeah.
But, it's not like they went out and lost against the Kansas City Chiefs. You went out and lost to a bad team, and your performance was horrible. So they were my biggest – I thought that was my lock of the week. And I couldn't believe that they lost that game.
Wow, your lock of the week. That is interesting.
Bro, you didn't think 49ers were going to beat the hell out of Chicago?
Bears? I'm a huge Justin Fields guy. I thought they would win. I don't know if I had it as a lock. I like Justin Fields. And at home, I had the Niners winning, but it didn't blow my mind that they won the game. I would say that.
I mean, right before the injury, they were going to go up 2 scores. So that injury was significant. But at the same time, it's not like he's the end-all be-all for that offense. They still got Deebo Samuel. They still got
who scored a touchdown. Deebo did his thing. So
I'm telling you, this Trey Lance situation is not going to last 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, they traded a lot to get up to number 3 to get him. So
they're paying Jimmy $23 million to be a backup. Right.
For 1 more year at the very least. All right, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
This one disappointed me a lot. I was torn between this. I had either the Rams, not just losing, right? The Super Bowl champs, the way they got beat up on was like that score the game wasn't as close. Josh Allen came out, kicked him in the mouth, off rip, and the Rams just seemed to be overwhelmed. by whatever, Buffalo was bringing, particularly their offensive line with, Whitworth retiring. Von Miller he had a field day. So I was torn between that and the one that I actually selected, but it is your former guy, Geno Smith, out dueling Russell Wilson. And again,
Yep.
I get a lot of it is on the clown behavior of the coach in Denver. I don't even know if that guy interviewed for the job. He must know somebody in the organization, because the way he coached last night was like Pop Warner football.
Pop Warner.
But for Geno was like, I think he completed his first 16 passes or something like that, including a touchdown. And I think he just outplayed Russ, right? That surprised me. I thought Russ was going to come home, especially after they booed him off when he came out the tunnel. I'm thinking Russ is about to go crazy. He's going to have a 4-touchdown game at home. He's going to say, let's ride in the post game, and they're going to win the game. And Geno got it done, man. Geno played extremely well last night. He let people know, you wrote me off, but I ain't right back, because my pen was still in my hand and the paper was still, nothing was yet established. And I think he just outplayed Russ, and that was a big surprise for me.
It wasn't a surprise to me because, one, I'm a Jets fan, and I'll always go to my grave with this statement. Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, if they were drafted by any other franchise, they would have had better careers. As much as I love Rex Ryan, he was a player's coach, but he wasn't good at developing, players. If you came to the Jets already an established all-star, he will make you better. But Rex was not good at drafting young guys and building them up. Every good player that he inherited was Revis and all these, Thomas, who was a linebacker, and all these other players, is either we traded for them or that was the previous coach Mangini who drafted them. Rex was not good at drafting, and he wasn't good at developing. But I've watched enough Geno games to know that he had that in him. So I wasn't surprised by that.
I wasn't surprised that he played well. I was surprised that he outplayed Russ, to be specific. That Russ didn't go for 400 yards and win the game with the weapons that the Broncos have on offense. So I cannot believe that Russ, didn't let his coach know. I'm absolutely not coming out this game on 4th and 5. We're going for it, right?
Going for it, yeah.
And again, like the fact that he tried to make it and he's come out and said, in hindsight, that was the wrong call. Duh, we know it. But the fact that he let 30 plus seconds burn off the clock, where it's now 34 seconds left, it's like at this point, he's like, well, now I got to kick it because we don't have enough time to. Bro, 4th and 5, you're on what, like the 48-yard line, right inside the 50? You got to go for it. This is your quarterback. You pay you $1 bazillion.
And I've watched enough football. If you complete a 10-yard pass, you run and spike the ball, or you throw the ball to the outside and hopefully your wide receiver can break a tackle and run out of bounds. So this is called situational football. He's a horrible coach, and that goes to show you that the hiring process for coaching in the NFL is flawed, because you can tell he's somebody's homeboy who got the job.
Mercy.
Right?
Mercy. Yo. Before we close out, we got to talk about this because 2 former football players. This is football.
Wait, hold on. I got to give you one more.
Oh, you do? My fault. My fault. Go ahead.
All right. Now, this one's a juicy one.
Okay.
I have to get this one off my chest.
Okay.
The biggest disappointment of week 1 is the whole NFC conference.
Okay. Explain.
Can you name me one dominant team that you saw from this week 1 from the NFC?
I'll tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now.
One dominant team that you saw play that you can
pencil. One dominant from week 1 or one that you project will be dominant all year?
Either.
Well, the Vikings were dominant, but we know they're not dominant. That's what I'm saying. Week 1 is different from projecting.
That's what I'm saying, right? You look at the Eagles, you can go with the Eagles, but you almost
they weren't dominant.
Right? You almost lost to the Lions. Vikings, the Packers ain't right yet. The Buccaneers.
The Bucs look pretty dominant.
But a bad Cowboys team, horrible offense they're the only team that didn't score a touchdown. The Jets scored a touchdown.
But isn't that part of the dominance of the Bucs?
No, because we can tell, because we can watch the Bucs play. Like I watched the Bucs play. Like, did they look scary to you, or they just happened to run into?
I think
it looked in counterpart
flawless
to like AFC though. But if you look in counterpart, like if the Bucs are playing the Bills would have ran the Bucs out that building. That's what I'm saying.
I can't say that. You don't know that.
Right? Here's my only thing. This is the only point I'll make about the NFC. And I'm going to give you guys a warning. If you guys let Tampa Bay fix up their O-line and take care of some of their injuries, they're going to win this conference, and Tom Brady's going back to the Super Bowl.
How do you just fix an O-line mid-season?
Every team, but you're making my point. Every team in the NFC, if you look up and down, they're vastly floored.
Yeah.
I didn't see one dominant team from the NFC. Like, who? I bet you right now, if we were to do, a lottery on who was to make it out of the AFC, we'd probably guess. If you give us 3 chances, we'll guess. We can say, oh, the Chiefs, the Bills, all of the Ravens. If we said the NFC, we'd need 10 tries to probably predict who would come out that conference.
Yeah, my bet on, if you ask me right now, it would be the Bucks. It would be the Bucks right now. If you ask me,
right? I'm not sold on the Eagles. Like, you can't.
No, God, no. I think they're good. I don't think they're.
Thank you. You can't give a team like the Lions close to 40 points, man. Like, y'all almost blew that game.
Yeah, that was bad.
So what team? Arizona's bad. The Packers, we don't know yet because, quote unquote, they were missing their number 1 wide receiver.
Stop.
Right?
They're not it this year. It might be a way different year than I thought it would be. Honestly.
So look, man,
it would not surprise me if Chicago beats the Packers next week. The Packers have to go into Chicago. It would not surprise me because last year they almost beat them on Monday Night Football.
If the 49ers had good QB play, I would pencil them in.
Right.
Right now we don't know.
Right.
And then on the other side of the conference, you have a division where you have the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, who, by the way, who I told you we're not going to be struggling without Tyreek, and you told me differently.
What's the disclaimer that we have to throw for the audience? They played Arizona, so let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Nah, come on. Arizona's a bum team now.
I'm not saying that they're. Come on, man. Arizona is Arizona.
It's the league, bro. But you don't stop high-flying offenses. Chiefs. The thing is, the difference between the Packers losing Devontae Adams and the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill is that Devontae Adams is a true number 1 prototypical wide receiver. That means he could do everything, ins and outs, short, deep, his goal line, his red zone, he's deadly. Tyreek Hill is more of a gadget. He is just more of a guy. You put him in space, not saying he can't do those other things, but you put him in space and he is just a freaking nightmare. So that's different.
But he also opens up the field for a lot of things that
because of his speed. Absolutely. Yes. But what I'm saying is if you take him, right, a gadget who can do those things out and you just throw receivers in, guys are getting open. First of all, guys don't guard guys in the league anymore. You can't cover one-on-one. Guys, even if it's like slants all day, like Michael Thomas came back and literally had like 12 receptions and like 2 touchdowns, and we know what he's doing. We all know what he's going to do. Tyreek is different because you don't have to do those gadget plays. You don't have to try to throw deep all the time. You could just run a regular offense with a very accurate quarterback who's arguably the best in the game and just dot people down the line. Also, my guy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I told you was a good back in fantasy that you might need to send me a trade request for, and you told me, no, he wasn't him. And not saying he's him, but he's a good player, and he gets a lot of touches in that offense.
All right, so the next few games for the Chiefs is against the Chargers. They got an easy one against the Colts, and then they got the Bucks.
You said Raiders. Easy one against the Colts?
Yeah.
The Colts have arguably the best defense in football.
Yeah, but when your QB play is bad, your defense is going to be on the field.
Come on, man. Let's not do. So then we're never going to give the Chiefs. If they're going to play, so they need to play a great QB with a bad offense.
Hold on. Let me finish. But I'm saying after the Chargers, they got an easy one with the Colts, and then they got the Bucks, Raiders, Bills, and 49ers. So that's a great stretch where I can really see what their offense is about. I'm saying I'm not going to go out on a limb and just say that their offense is great and they don't miss Tyreek Hill because they killed Arizona. You and I would have caught mad balls against Arizona. Come on.
Well, I'm one of the best route runners in the world. So
thank you, man. You would have gave Arizona 12 for $180, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
So,
yo,
let's just see that. Yeah.
What is good? Not to pivot, right? But what is good with these former NFL players wanting to box? Over the weekend, Le'Veon Bell knocked the heck out of Adrian Peterson with a straight right hand. That wasn't like secret. It wasn't like he did some windmill and punched him. He just got caught lacking, and AP just knocked straight out. What is it with these non-boxers wanting to box, like actually box matches. Is it good for boxing or is it bad?
Did you see Swaggy P fall out the ring after he then got
Bruh,
punched?
after he literally like did like a reverse spin punch or something like that. I'm like, yo, what is that good or bad? Do you like it?
All right.
I'm over it.
To think that a lot of these athletes that's doing it might have some money issues. Because look at the athlete that's doing it. We know AP went through some money issues, right? I don't know what Swaggy P's financial situation is, but you don't see
He's
prime.
not broke. Swag is not broke. I think
you're
he's
not
bored.
seeing prime former athletes that made the bag doing these type of things. Is it bad for boxing? No, because real boxing fans can differentiate between good boxing and a gimmick. Do I love it?
Frank Gore didn't need to do that. Frank Gore got paid.
But we don't know. We don't know what he invested in. Like, look, a lot of these athletes after 2-3 seasons, they go broke. 60% of them go broke after retirement from the NFL, right?
Darren Williams stole he made a whole lot of money in the NBA. You think he lost?
Listen. Do I like it? No, I love it. If you if you want the best laugh of your life, watch two former athletes box. When Nate Robinson got knocked out, I swear on everything, I spent 30 minutes crying on
we all collectively were in tears. That was probably the biggest night in Twitter history.
In Twitter history, it was up there. This was like literally last summer. I never laughed so hard in my life. Like when I want a good chuckle, I'll always replay that video, bro. So in terms of just seeing Adrian Peterson get knocked out, like it was funny as hell to me. I don't know what it is. Because you know what it is? It kind of breaks down the mystique of athletes because you automatically think because the athlete is big that they got hands.
They get strong, right? You think they could scrap.
And I'm looking at these two like, oh, I'll knock AP out too.
AP might see this and challenge you. So
just don't let him. If it's about grappling, once they grab you, it's over. If you're telling me to fight AP with just hands, I think I got him, bro. I think I'll watch him. So
I don't like it, man. I need it to stop, bro. I don't want to see AP, a guy who's like immortalized in football galore, to be getting knocked out in a ring. To me, it takes away from that mystique. Like, could you imagine LeBron getting in a ring and getting knocked out? He wouldn't be the same LeBron to me.
That would literally break the internet.
Twitter,
you would have to refresh. Twitter wouldn't work for 3 days.
It would crash.
But LeBron, a dude like LeBron would never do it though. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not like we're not getting our best of the best athletes.
But AP is one of the best running backs. He's arguably the best running back of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
We don't talk about when we talk about GOAT of football. We don't do that because running backs don't really get that kind of love.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that aspect. I just don't want to see these dudes fighting, man. It's weird. It's like
if I saw Tom Brady and Peyton Manning fighting, like I would think something was wrong. I'm not shocked with like Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson. You know.
Yeah. All right.
It's comical, man. Keep it up, bro. I love it.
He said, keep it up. He likes seeing y'all get knocked out. I don't know how funny that is for y'all or your folk to be watching you getting dropped. Like, could you imagine explaining that to your kid if you're Adrian Peterson? Like, here you are, this football player who ran everybody over, and you get knocked out in a boxing ring by a former running back, like who literally just retired. I don't know, B. They got to do something about that because these dudes, somebody's going to get really hurt one time. That's my worry. At least they're boxing each other. At least the football guys are boxing each other and not like real boxers.
But here's the thing, when you don't really know the fundamentals of boxing, it's kind of hard to hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like if a real boxer really sizes you up and hits you with proper mechanics, you can kill someone. But when you got two guys that's literally throwing overhand and they don't really know what they're doing, it's kind of hard to get hurt. Like you'll get knocked down, but they're not hitting you so hard that like it really messes you up. Speaking of which, like you didn't laugh when Ocho Cinco fought last year.
Yeah, but my man Ocho, he lasted the entire. That's all I kept praying for. Ocho finished the fight. I know he was like struggling at a point. He was tired. I think he got knocked down even. But I was like, finish the fight, Ocho. You cannot go out like that because the internet they don't show no mercy. They don't show no mercy. Before we tap out, by the time we get on the air this week, two of the best teams in the AFC, arguably the two best teams in the AFC. Or two of the three best teams in the AFC will have played on Thursday night. Chiefs and The Chargers. Who you got in that game?
Who's home?
I think it's in. Tell you right now.
It's in Arrowhead.
Yep, it's in Arrowhead.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs with that one. They're steady at Arrowhead. And Keenan Allen, he has a pulled hamstring, so that's
he's not. I don't think he's gonna play.
Yeah, so that's gonna shape up that game a lot. But Herbert's a beast, man. I'm starting to.
He is a beast. He's my fantasy quarterback. He had me.
I know.
Listen, those little updates that kept popping, and you got me this week, if I'm not mistaken, in fantasy. I like the new updates in on fantasy. Every time somebody on your team scores a touchdown, it lets you know. I was like, Herbert is killing right now.
Yeah,
so that was dope.
He's a problem, man. He's sliding into maybe top 5.
Oh yeah, I think he's there. I got the Chargers. I do think the Chargers are going to win. I think their defense. I think their defense is more steady. Yo, you know me. Derwin James is one of my 3 favorite players in all of football. I love Derwin James. It's OBJ, Russell Wilson, and probably Derwin, bro. I love him. Everything about him on the back end of that Chargers defense. I'm not sold on the Chiefs defense yet. We'll have to see. This is their first real test, like you said. The Cardinals were no good. We'll see, how the Chiefs fare with their offense versus the Chargers defense, and if their defense could hold Herbert and those guys to anything. Because I think Mike Williams is about to go crazy now with
Keenan Allen out.
So yeah. Any final touches before we tap out?
Nah, man, let's keep it up, man. Let's keep the ball rolling.
Make sure you guys are following us on all platforms, all right? Instagram, Designated Report. Twitter, Designated RPT. YouTube, Designated Report. TikTok, Designated Report. And visit DesignatedReport.com for all the latest stories, articles, whatever you're looking for from our perspective with the great writers we have on staff. And make sure you guys are subscribing and liking and leave a comment. Let us know in my Brandon Marshall voice what we could do better next time and how we could make this a more popping podcast for you. This is First Team All-Purpose Athlete with JD and Sean Alcee. Peace.
Peace.